Vibrational Medicine is a podcast to bring awareness to the various natural wellness practices and treatments available. I am your host, Ash Neumeister, and these conversations are born out of my curiosity to learn more about the technologies available to us to stay in our optimal, vital, healthy, and natural state for our entire life, regardless of aging and all of the challenges of living in our modern day world. We will discuss topics covering how to stay healthy in mind, body, and spirit. Let's take a moment for one deep breath and then enjoy the conversation. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Vibrational Medicine with Ash. In this episode, I got to sit down and chat with Monti Washington. He also goes by Motivation on all of the different social medias. He is so inspirational. I worked with him on a TV show called Games People Play. He was an actor on that show. And we met at the wrap party, and I found out that he is a motivational speaker. And so I just got to know him a little bit better and found out what an inspiration he is. He shares in the podcast his story, his background, and where he's come from, and how he's really used the power of mind, how important our mindset is to achieve anything that we want. And one of his main mottos is, "We don't look like our story." And he is a beautiful example of that. And I hope that you enjoy this conversation. And if you do, please share it out with your friends and family. Leave us a comment or 5-star rating wherever you're listening to this. It really does help get the word out. I appreciate all of the comments and feedback. So enjoy the conversation, and thanks so much for taking your time out to listen to this. Blessings. All right. Well, welcome everyone to another episode of Vibrational Medicine with Ash. And today I'm super stoked to have Monti on. We actually met at a wrap party for Games People Play. Yeah. This is the first time I'm actually speaking with someone like from that world of mine, of like working in the entertainment industry. And then, at the wrap party, you shared with me that you're a motivational speaker, and we've just been connecting since then. I've been learning a little bit more about you.
Yeah.
And just thought it'd be a really great idea to have you come on and share about a little bit about your backstory, about your life, and how you've become this amazing motivational speaker. And we can, drop in about some different tools and things that you share, and what's useful for you in your own life as well. So yeah, first of all, just thank you for taking the time.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I'm excited. We made it happen.
Yeah. So just a little of my background, I'm like a walking poster for like stereotypes for like young Black kids. Like grew up in the hood, never knew my dad. My mother was a prostitute and a drug addict. I was actually conceived in a hotel room, and grew up in poverty, like real poverty. If you're from LA and you know about Skid Row, I grew up in places like that. Slept in crack houses, slept in parks for weeks and weeks at a time. And I was very young until the point it got so bad, and my mother's drug addiction got so bad that me and my two younger brothers, we ended up getting put into the system. So anybody who don't know what the system is, that's group homes and foster homes. And, I was in 12 different group homes over the course of 3 years, which was really, it was really hard when you're like 9, 10, 11 years old. You're kind of crafting your identity. You're crafting your identity about who you want to be, who you think you are. You're just starting to take that journey, and to be constantly in different situations. Group homes where a lot of the times group homes are like a segue for young men who've been in juvenile correctional facilities. So instead of getting released directly into their parents' care, sometimes they go to the group home, like a judge behavior with a little more freedom, then you get released. So I was in group homes where I was bullied because you got real thugs and they're, young men with felonies. and I was in group homes where nobody looked like me. I'd be split up from my brother. So it was just a really turbulent time. And then eventually I got put into foster homes. And foster care, I believe, if done correctly, is a beautiful thing. I'm blessed and grateful that eventually I got into foster care, because if you stay in the group homes, if you age out of the system, the chances, the percentage of you turning out to be any type of success by traditional societal standards are so low. Like I ended up going to college and getting 2 college degrees. Only 1% of former foster youth ever accomplished that. 1%.
Wow.
Now, which is crazy, because being an actor in LA, I looked up a statistic. It was like 5 years ago, but it was something like only 1.7% of all actors make a full-time living. It was something silly like that.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, wow, that's crazy. But then only 1% of former foster youth. So for me, it's like, wow, I've beaten worse odds. Yeah, no, it's crazy. And
yeah, wow.
Yeah, it was wild. And in the foster care, the first foster parent physically abused me. My brothers used to make us grip the back of a chair, and she would beat our knuckles and do some pretty horrific things to teach us that we shouldn't touch things that didn't belong to us. And because if anything came up missing or broken, it was never her kids. It was the foster kids all the time. So I had some scars on my knuckles from that. My hands were super shaky for some time after that. Then put back into the group home, then put into my second foster parent's house. Now this is probably the hardest lesson I've learned as like an adolescent. We have this idea that like our physical scars, like if you see somebody scarred, there's like this incredible story attached to it. Sometimes that's true. Sometimes you just trip and fall and you get a bad boo-boo. But I think the type of scars that everyone can resonate with are those mental ones. You know, those invisible scars that we keep in our head, that we hold in our heart long after we've experienced what we experienced. So my second foster mother, about a few weeks in, my little brother breaks a bowl, and he shatters this like glass bowl, and she just cusses us out, gives us a little spanking, sends us to the back of the room in the house. And we're like, okay, we've experienced worse. Come to find out, we would spend close to 3 months in there, locked in that room for nearly 23 hours a day.
Wow.
Yeah, we'd be able to come out on the weekends sometimes. Occasionally we get a couple extra hours, but for the most part, that was like our life. And when you're put in that kind of prison and you're told you're not worth it, you're not good, and excuse my language, but you're not shit, been told that again and again, you start to believe that. You know, it's one thing people need to be aware of is the stories we tell ourselves or others tell to us, whether they're true or false is irrelevant. What matters is our belief in it. If somebody feeds you a false narrative and you take that on as though it's true, you're going to live it out because you believe it. The mind is incredibly powerful. So if you believe, like I was taught, you're not good enough, you're not shit, that's what happens. So I ended up trying to commit suicide on 2 separate occasions. Luckily, we got out of that situation. I got help, therapy. But because of that, being told you're so dumb, you're so stupid, I was in special ed classes until about 8th grade, even though I had no learning disabilities or I wasn't diagnosed. And then got in the last foster home. So this is about the 3rd foster home, and things were better. It was a clear distinction who the foster kids were and who the kids were, if I'm going to keep it real. But compared to the other things we've experienced, that was nothing. So I was just given an opportunity, and I was going into high school. So I had about 4 or 5 years of being in a stable home environment, of not living like that. And from then on, I just took advantage of it. I took advantage and made a subconscious decision. I don't think it was a conscious decision, but even now at 33 years old, I come across many people who don't know who they are or what they want. And I think if you start with who you don't want to be, I think that's what happened with me. I didn't know that I wanted to be a speaker at that time. I didn't know I wanted to be an actor. I didn't know I wanted to be a game changer, a world changer, all that. But I knew I didn't want to be a drug addict, a drug dealer, a thug. I didn't want to be those kind of people. So anyone who's listening to this, you don't have to know who you are, who you want to be immediately. That takes some time. But know who you don't want to be. Process of elimination. Identify the kind of people, the type of people who you don't want to be, and do the opposite. That is a good starting point for a lot of people. That's a great starting point.
That's a great way to look at it. Yeah, especially when you're kind of in the thick of it, and you're
Yeah.
just starting to get beyond some of those kinds of life experiences that you just described, which thank you for sharing all of that.
Mhm.
And that's a great way. Yeah. First step. Okay. I don't want to be like that. So how
Yeah,
can I be?
exactly,
Mm-hmm.
exactly. When I as I tour, it's one of the things. I have a couple of little motivationisms, as I like to say.
Yeah.
Um, One of them is "You're the shit," and we'll get into that a little later. But
Mm-hmm.
this is one of the things I've committed to challenging everybody on, because I do life coaching as well, or I call it personal development coaching. I don't think I
Mm-hmm.
can coach somebody on their life, but I can
Right.
coach them on their personal development. That's a little easier, but
Mm-hmm.
um, I come in contact with a lot of clients, potential clients, and they all use their upbringing as an excuse
Mm-hmm.
to why they are the way they are.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I know a friend of mine who struggled with alcoholism. He's good now, but for years he was just like, "Oh man, that's what my dad did. That's what his dad did," and these vicious cycles that continue.
Right.
And this idea that, and there's some truth to it, but we have this idea that our stories, our experiences, form who we will eventually become. And there's
Right.
some truth to that.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. I think there's no substitute for experience. You can learn, you can take classes, you can be coached, but nothing really substitutes for experience. But
Mm-hmm.
I challenge the idea that that's the only thing that forms us. Instead of our experiences and our stories forming us, what if they informed us, right?
Mm.
Everything that's happening to us is giving us information, spiritually, physically, mentally. You're getting information. If you were abused as a child, like I did, the information was, this is horrible, this hurts, this is painful, this is hurtful. That's information that's given. Now, if I continue that cycle, which a lot of people do, a lot of people, oh, I was abused, so I'm going to abuse other people. Bullies were bullied, right? So if you
Mm-hmm.
have that, it's like, why don't you take that information and remember how hard that felt to be abandoned, how hard that felt to be abused, how hard that felt to be betrayed. Remember that input, remember that information. And now you can change that to have a different outcome. So that's how
Mm.
I always think about it. It's like your stories, your experiences don't necessarily form you. They inform you of who you don't want to be, who you can be, and who you will eventually be. So that's something I always want to take in. I want people to
Right.
digest. Even though I've gone through that, the fact of the matter is you're alive, you survived it. So you're more than
Mm-hmm.
capable of handling that, even if you are dealing with depression, anxiety, all these other things. The fact is, you haven't given up. All
Mm.
that was information. And if you start looking at it as information rather than this is the story that's been told, these are the cards I've been given, I have to play them. Excuse my language, but fuck that.
Mm-hmm.
Like those are the cards you're given. Make the dealer give you a new set, and that starts
Right.
with you. And that new set happens to be your mindset. And look at everything you've experienced, all that abuse. That's what I do. I take in all the
Mm.
abuse, all the negativity, um, the confidence I've struggled with until the recent last few years. It wasn't
Mm-hmm.
until the last few years that I really like, well, I'm the shit. I'm going to be unapologetically who I am, and it's
Right.
an everyday thing, and I have to constantly remind myself it's okay to be your full self in every situation and every environment, because the abuse I suffered, I was beat down so much and I told I wasn't. And I was a borderline all-American athlete. I've had every gift and skills. I was always the man on school, and I was always the
Yeah.
big man on campus, but none of that matters if you don't have belief in that. No matter what
Right.
anyone tells you, no matter how much external love you get, if you don't
Mm-hmm.
intrinsically believe that, you're not going to live it out.
Right. Right. And that comes back to, the victim mentality, right?
Mm,
So that's a big point. If you're constantly allowing your story to define you, you're
hmm
living as a victim. Like, this thing's happened to me. And there's, that saying, it actually happened for you.
it's such a, we live in such an interesting time. Excuse me, I'm gonna give it a few seconds on my soapbox. But
Please.
we live in such an interesting time, and now some people, this may be controversial, so be ready.
Yeah.
Some people, like I, because I've dealt with real anxiety, because I've dealt with depression, because I've been suicidal, I can speak from a position of experience of what those emotions really feel and entail.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people will go through a tough time and be like, I'm depressed. No, you're sad. You're unhappy. You're
Mm-hmm.
not fulfilled. I'm talking about people who are going through depression, if you felt depression, it's a physical weight. It's a physical, literal weight that you feel on you when you wake up, no matter how
Mm-hmm.
many people, no matter how your finances look, you just don't feel good. And a lot of
Yeah.
people use that as a default, and that's like taking the victim out. Or anxiety. No, you're nervous. Like
Mm-hmm.
I work with a couple of people. I'm like, I know I've had it, and I've dealt with people who literally have real anxiety problems, where the
Right.
simplest tasks give them anxiety. No,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people I know, you're not prepared for a lot of stuff because you're
Mm-hmm.
wasting your time on social media, on TV. You're allocating all these damn hours to unproductive activities. So including activities such as working on yourself, both
Mm.
mentally, physically, spiritually. So when things show up in your life that are unexpected, because it's life and that's what happens, you're not
Mm-hmm.
prepared. You're not ready. So now you call it anxiety because you blow off all your money and you can't pay your bills.
Mm.
You call it anxiety because you got hit with a real life situation, but because you never developed yourself personally, you never developed a strong mindset, you never developed a greater sense of your spirit. Whether you believe in God, Allah, Jesus, your higher self, whatever it is, you've not developed something that's greater than yourself. So you're calling it anxiety. You're just not ready. You haven't learned that, and you have
Mm.
these habits of taking the victim route. And I think as a society, we I don't know if this is because I'm a tweener. Like I was in the age where there was no internet, and I was also old
Right.
enough right when social media hit. I was like in college and got it. So I'm like, I understand what it was like when you had to just deal with shit. You had to
Mm-hmm.
handle it instead of being cuddled. Like I think so many people are, oh, it's okay, it's okay. It's not okay to play the victim. There's
Right.
people out there who are dealing with real stuff that need real help. A lot
Mm-hmm.
of us, we just need to help our damn selves. Stop playing the victim. Stop looking for things outside of ourselves. So
Mm.
yeah, I just got to throw that in there because that,
No, I love that.
that gets me every time.
Yeah, no, I thank you. I get it. I mean, I see that too with my clients as well. It's like
Mhm.
I think at some point, some people allow those stories to define who they are. And it's like an
Yes.
attachment to it, it's
Hmm.
like an identity thing.
Hmm.
And so it does, and it's all subconscious, and so through things like breath work or,
Hmm.
different things that I'm sure you'll share, it's about letting go of that and moving beyond it and actually really getting to know yourself and discovering
Really.
your power, and like who you truly are.
And it's so funny. I'm sure you can contest to this. It's in those darkest moments. It's in those moments where you feel like there's not a single soul that's around that want to help you. I posted a video on Instagram the other day. I was just sitting meditating, doing a little breath work, which people underestimate how important that is.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I had to be honest with myself. And it goes back to what we're talking about. I think there's the truth, and then there's the honest truth. The
Mm.
truth is, for me, this is just my informal definition, but the truth to me is simply not what's facts, but what you believe facts to be. It's simply your perception based off of where you're at in life or what your experiences are.
Mm-hmm.
The honest truth are the facts. The honest truth, and I had to be honest with myself. I was just thinking, I'm blessed right now. I'm in a good space. I just finished Games People Play, which you're well aware of. I got on a new show on this online. I'm working on a play. I'm about to get on tour right now. I'll be married in a year. Like everything, like my life is good. But I also had to be honest with myself. Like I'm not. I could be doing more. Not in the busy sense, but like I could be further along. And the honest truth is, I've been holding back,
Mm.
but I had to be outside after I do my prayer, my meditation, my breath work, and I was sitting. My head was clear. I wasn't worried about this, that, or the third. I was I was present.
Right.
Simple. I was present, and I realized, hold up, you're happy, but there's some things you want, and I try to stay in a state of gratitude, but you don't have what you want because you haven't gone full on. I've been operating at a level that is great compared to someone who may not have done the type of work we've done and haven't ascended, to those levels or evolved as a
Mm-hmm.
person. But me personally, there's no way, I'm nowhere near where I could be and where I should be. And I had to be honest with myself and like, why am I not? Because I've been holding back. I've been procrastinating on certain things. I've been kicking back because I've been attracting some things. And so I believe you should definitely attract stuff to you, but you should go for it also. And I've been attracting stuff, so I've stopped going for it. And it's like, hold up, remember, these are moments. These are moments. You got to take those moments and make sure you keep the momentum going. And I realize you have momentum right now, but it will slow down if I do not start going after stuff, capitalizing on opportunities that are coming. And that was the honest truth. And I had to sit there and be like, damn, yeah, on the outside looking in, everybody else, yeah, I'm killing it, but I could be doing more. And that only happens when you're not afraid to be alone with your thoughts. Like I cut my phone off, or I just put on classical music or jazz, just nothing with words. I just let that go, or some vibrational sounds. And I sit with my thoughts, those ugly thoughts, those honest thoughts. And it occurred to me, so many people don't have that revelation because they're afraid to spend time by themselves. They self-medicate, they watch porn, they spend all the time on TV, they spend all their time on social media every second. And don't get me wrong, I spend a lot of time on social media. But my morning, when I get ready, that's sacred for me. Like I make sure I have time to where it's just me. And so many people are afraid to be alone with their thoughts. So many people don't know how. Like we've forgotten how to just be. And
for sure.
Exactly. And that's caused a lot of stress. And so a lot of people don't know who they really are or where they're really going because they haven't taken the time. They're so afraid to really get in touch with that, which is when the magic happens.
Yes, I agree. All of that, yes. So what are some of the things that you like to do, or even taking a step back, like for people that are kind of feeling like they're in a funk or just stuck or playing the victim, all of these things, we've been talking about. What are some of the practices that they can start? Like where do they start, and what supported you?
When you're in a funk, particularly, so the victim route, I'll ask me that in a second. That's going to be a different one. But as far as like being in a funk and stuck, that's life. What you want to do is you want to get to a point to where those funks, those lows are as short as possible. Like I know almost religiously, a few times a year, I get in a funk. But I have learned I will not give myself more than 3 days of feeling sorry for myself. I will not. Sometimes I think it's healthy for a little bit. There's a time thing. I think it's healthy to sit with it. I sit with it. Damn it, why am I in a funk? Why do I feel like this? After games people play ended, I was like, because it's like the show, you stop recording it, and then now you have this space between when it premieres. And at the same time, I was on tour. So I was leaving set and going on tour. So I had all these things going on in the first 3 months of the year, and it all stopped simultaneously. And at the time, I was still in my long distance relationship. So now I'm like, my show's done, my tour's done. I have no like social life. Damn, I'm in a funk. And I had to sit with it. I talked with my significant other, and I was just like, and she helped me point it out because she knows me well enough. She's just like, it's because of, I was like, oh, snaps. Okay, you're right. I was on such a high and such like all these good things are happening that of course normal life is going to
like nothing's happening.
Right. And so part of it is life. So people have to be able to sit with it. Give yourself some time to just sit with it, feel these emotions. I'm not the type to, no, I gotta go. Anything, it's not real. No, emotions are real. Life is real. Sadness is real. It's temporary though. You sit with it and you ask yourself, why do I feel like this? Don't, before you ask someone else, ask yourself that. And then if you do have a good mentor or coach, they will take you through the process of asking you questions to help you discover why that is. So that's the first step. Then you tell yourself, I'm only going to feel like this for a few days. Or this and you tell yourself that. Then what you have to do immediately, get your ass up and take action. Get out. Do not be indoors.
Right.
We are meant to be in nature. Going for a walk is so helpful.
Mhm.
just sitting near a beach, going for a hike, getting out. That's
Mhm.
always it. So if there were steps, it's sitting your sorrow, sitting your sadness, ask yourself questions, or get somebody who can pull the questions out of you so you can come up with some answers. Take action, get outdoors, get involved with nature. And something else people don't do enough is help someone else. It is
Right.
hard to feel sorry for yourself when you're in the process of helping
Mhm.
someone else.
Yeah, focus out.
It just helps. Whether I don't care if it's going to a retirement home and reading to the elderly, or feeding the homeless, or going to a dog shelter, whatever it is. Not cats. I don't like cats, but going to a dog shelter, whatever it is, get outside of yourself. It's hard to live in a state of fear or sadness and gratitude simultaneously. It's really hard. So I always do that. That's when I'm in the mode. But more than anything, you need to have people need to create a routine. I have
Yeah.
I have a morning routine that I do most of the time. Um, it begins with getting out. Like I said, I got to walk. I'm not a sit down in a closed room and meditate. I got too much stuff going on in my head. I
Mhm.
find things are cleared out when I'm in the light and I'm walking around. So I find a nice little park around the corner, and on my way there, my routine, and I've developed this over the last 7 years. I've been doing it consistently for the most part. I always say 5 things I'm grateful for
Mhm.
out loud. I sound crazy sometimes, so I put my headphones on in public to make it look like I'm talking to somebody. But I always say 5 things I'm grateful for. Then I say 5 things I'm thankful for. Now, the way I differentiate this is grateful is what I have, thankful is what I'm asking for.
Mm.
So I thank God in the universe in advance. Like, I thank God in advance for this audition I'm going to give, for this financial blessing that's going to come my way, for such and such. And
Mhm.
it gets me in that mode. And then I begin to say my affirmations. I have I don't know if it's an affirmation, I don't know if it's a prayer, a mantra. It's stuff I say that works for me. I just say, um, I surrender. So I'm just like, God, I surrender my fear of failure, my fear of success, my doubt in my abilities, my worry about money, no, my insecurities, my worry about money, or my worry about the future to you, because I know and understand wholeheartedly that my potential is limitless. And I will utilize that limitless potential to capitalize upon the enormous and upon the abundant opportunities that today brings. And I will have supreme confidence and absolute faith while in pursuit of those enormous and abundant opportunities. Like, that's a
Mm.
mouthful. It's taken me years
Mhm.
to craft that, but
Mhm.
I say that again and again and again. Some days I need to say it once and I'm ready to go. Some
Right.
days I spend 30 minutes saying that shit because I
Mm.
have to say it. I have to get into my subconscious. I got to reprogram my mind right then and there and do that. And then after you do all of that, take action. This is not this is not the secret. You will not sit down and attract shit to yourself. You have to go get it. You
Right.
prep yourself in the day, in the morning, do whatever you got to do, pray to whatever God, universe, energy source, whatever you believe in, but something greater than yourself. You do what you got to do, you prepare yourself, and then you have to take action. If you're not
Right.
taking action, you're still playing the victim in my mind.
Mm. Totally.
Yeah.
Preach.
Hey, it's stuff I've had to tell myself over and over again, and I have to. I have to always remind
Yeah.
myself.
Well, yeah, I mean, it takes a long time to rewire those
Truth,
brain neural pathways, you know? And so
truth,
it's like you're
truth.
saying, like sitting and saying the same thing over and over for 30 minutes. Like sometimes that's really what it takes until you feel it.
Well, I mean, think about how many times we replay the same negative thing in our head over and over again. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
good enough. I'm not worthy enough. I got dumped. I'm not rich enough. I'm not this. We play
Mm-hmm.
that subconsciously over
Yeah.
and over. So you have to override
Right.
that. That's all I'm doing. I'm overriding the shit I heard as a kid. the
Right.
the audition I didn't get that made me feel like, man, I killed it, but maybe I'm not good enough, or
Mm-hmm.
the speaking gig and engagement that didn't come through, and now I'm looking at my finances like, oh man, I had plans for this. Now I gotta recalibrate. You have to, and when you
Mm-hmm.
get into that point, like, it's everything. It's forgive me, but fuck your feelings.
Yeah.
Feelings are so deceiving. Feelings is so temperamental.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the greatest victories I have personally are when I don't want to go to the gym and I go.
Right.
When I have 3 speaking gigs in a row and I may be at this event and it's not set up the right way and nothing's working and this, and I'm just like, I'm not really into it. And I'm like, hold up, it's not about you. It's not about the circumstances. It's about the message and the people receiving that message. And then you overrate yourself and you get yourself to do it. Like, it's great when you feel like doing stuff. It is great. It is great. But when you don't feel like doing something, that's the next level. That's when you start diving into the realm of discipline. And
Right.
but you got to have those habits. But it starts for me. It starts with that spiritual understanding of yourself and what your greater purpose is, and
Mm-hmm.
getting it up to your head and actually being able to conceptualize and then understand on an intellectual level that what I'm doing is greater than me. There's greater implications for this. So many people can benefit from this, and then getting your butt up and doing it. That's the difference. That's the difference.
Yeah, and I think once you kind of go down this pathway of starting to pay attention to your thoughts and how you talk to yourself,
Hmm.
you start to discover those reoccurring voices. And maybe it is from your
Hmm.
mom or from this friend in middle school or whatever, but sometimes it ends up becoming your own voice. And so I just read something this morning from that one of my friends posted, was like, if your friends talk to you the way that you talk to yourself, would you still be friends with them?
I love that.
Like really checking in with like how you treat yourself,
Yeah.
and getting a barometer really of like for where your thoughts are at and how you treat yourself, and really how much you love yourself is what it comes down to.
But everything you're talking about is beautiful, but it's like this awareness that a lot of people lack.
Mhm.
It's just
Exactly.
literally awareness. If there's anything I can say that I'm proud of, is over the last 5 years in this real deep dive. I've been, in this business for like 10 years, but in the last 5 years, I've been very intentional. I
Mhm.
always tell my clients to MIM, make intentional moves. And it starts with yourself. Really get to know yourself. I realize I'm a chronic procrastinator. I'm a big talker. I say a lot of stuff. Now I can finally say, I back it up. If I say I'm gonna be there for a friend, I'm going to be there. Why? Because I wasn't there in the past. If I say I'm gonna do this project, I'm gonna do it. Why? Because I didn't do it in the past. I had to really spend time and get aware of who am I? What kind of person I am? Like what work is best for me? What projects are good for me? What works and what doesn't? And
Mhm.
it's really getting to know yourself. Once you get to know yourself, and this is just what you just said, I'm playing off of that, and it just hit me in this moment. Like, I've always told people to FLY, first love yourself, right? Now that I'm just talking to you, I just had this moment. I'm going to have to write this down before I forget or rewatch the recording. But I just had this revelation, like, before you love yourself, you got to get to know yourself.
Mm.
I think I've always skipped that step of first love yourself. You don't love someone you don't know, really,
Mm.
right? Whether
Mhm.
it's a friend or even if people are faking, you know what they're giving you, but you have to know someone on some kind of level before you can say I love them.
Right.
So I'm guessing that applies to ourselves. If you don't know yourself, if you have no awareness of who you are, what you want to be, it's hard to take that next step in learning how to love yourself. Like that's something I'm gonna have to really,
That's
yeah,
a good one for
yeah.
sure. Yeah, and I've always had this thought, if you get to know someone enough, it's
Mhm.
inevitable that you're going to fall in love with them.
Or hate them.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's
Okay,
some people. There's some
it's true.
people. No, no, like I completely agree. There's some people. I'm like, oh man, like they're dope. I really like that person from a distance, and then you get to know this person.
Right.
Like, wow, I wish I didn't know all of this. But you're
Okay,
right
there
though.
is that side of it too, yeah.
But you're right about the love part though.
Yeah, because I've just had a lot of people in my life where they've been like really annoying, or, like I've been a little standoffish with them, but then
Mhm.
as I spend more time with them, I get to know them, I understand where they're coming from, why they're
Mm.
doing the things they're doing. I can have more compassion, and I'm like, oh, okay, I get it. And so there's
Oh,
that ability to relate with them instead of just like
that's
staying in the judgment.
no. You're absolutely right. And I love how you said that. You said compassion. You said judgment. If I can play off of that,
Hmm.
I like that. And that's something I'm consciously these last. I've just become aware. I'm like, man, I sneak judge a lot of people. And I think we all do it. We
Yeah.
all do it. And I'm like, I want to switch from judging to simply observing. To just, okay. I wouldn't do it that way. I
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't wear that. I wouldn't eat that. But okay. And rather than, oh, why are you dressed like that? Why do you talk like that? It's that
Mm-hmm.
judgment. And what you said in regards to love and spending time with people and compassion, compassion literally means calm means with, passion means suffer. So to have compassion for someone is to suffer with. And playing off what you said, you spend enough time with people, you get to know why they do the things that they do. You get to know the origin of those
Mm-hmm.
actions. And I have some people who I call them lovable assholes. I got a
Yeah.
couple of friends, they're just assholes. I'm gonna keep it real. But I
Mm-hmm.
respect them because I know where it comes from. And I respect their honesty, and they're always true to themselves. Even if it rubs people the wrong way, I can
Mm-hmm.
respect someone who knows who they are, what they are, and stands their ground. And to
Mm-hmm.
have that compassion to suffer with, you have to really get to know somebody. You have to spend time so they can let you in on all the nasty little things that we don't know. I always,
Mm-hmm.
one of the big things I say when I speak is, we don't look like our story, you know?
Yeah.
If I don't tell you my story, you wouldn't know my mother was a drug addict. You wouldn't know I was suicidal. You wouldn't know I grew up in group homes and slept in parks and crack houses. You wouldn't know that. But
Mm-hmm.
going back to what you were saying, if you spent enough time with me, you would know, oh, okay, wow, this person, yeah, he's kind of loud. He fills up the room. He comes in, he walks like he knows he's the shit. But that's because there was a point where he felt like shit.
Mm-hmm.
You wouldn't know that if you don't spend time with somebody. So I love that. It's that idea of compassion. You get to learn where these scars coming from, where are these little weird things that may rub people the wrong way. But it's like, oh, okay, I see. You're kind of messed up like the rest of us.
Right. We all got our
Right.
shit.
Mm-hmm.
I'd love to for you to share actually a little bit more about what you are up to as far as these speaking tours and
Okay.
your message and like you've tapped into it a little bit already, but just kind of like sharing a little bit more about that.
Yeah. I'll try to make it brief. Right now, I mean, I've been doing the motivational speaking primarily high schools and colleges. Now I'm transitioning. I want to do more conferences and companies, just more of an adult crowd.
Mm-hmm.
Because as I evolved and grown, so is my message.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to do that. And my primary message, I think, if anything, I think everybody out there, I don't care what kind of work you do, we're all in this area of work, it's all about love. Like no
Mm-hmm.
matter how we put it, whether it's love for yourself, whether it's love for others, and but everybody has a unique way of doing it and putting it in style. That's what makes it different. Even though we're all saying the same thing, I think we're all speaking a different language, if that makes sense. So you
Mm-hmm.
got to find where yours hits. And for me, my main thing is it's confidence. It's confidence and understanding your story within a context. That's why I always say you're the shit. And
Mm-hmm.
that whole idea of being the shit comes from being locked in a room for 23 hours a day and being told I wasn't shit.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say that, it's not I'm better than anyone. I was at a poetry event, and I wish I could take credit for this quote, but I can't. I forgot the poet's name, but she was so dope. She said, "Take up as much space as your existence will allow."
Mm-hmm.
I was like, she was in the middle of a poem riffing off, and I caught this, that, and when I heard that, I just stopped. I was like, let me write that down.
Yeah.
Take up as much space as your existence will allow. And that's what being the shit is to me. Take
Yeah.
up as much space. Be you, unapologetically you. Because being
Mm-hmm.
the shit it's not about what you've accomplished. It's about what you've overcome and what you are
Right.
going to become. Because we've all experienced some shit in our life,
Mm-hmm.
but we don't all feel like we've accomplished great things. Even if we have, you can ask some of the
Mm-hmm.
most successful people. Rarely can you ask somebody honestly, do they feel like they've made it? I don't think we really make it or arrive. We just get to the next stage.
Yeah.
But we can all say we've gone through some heartbreak, we've been abused, we've been abandoned. We can all say something like that. So that idea is like, yeah, I've gone through that, but that doesn't define me. In fact, it makes me stronger. So the whole idea is the confidence,
Yeah.
um, if we're rating on a scale of a 1 to 10, I think the happiest, most fulfilled, healthiest life would be a 10 for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and a lot of people want to accomplish that. I think intrinsically we'd all love that, but you can't have a level 10 dream if your confidence and belief in yourself is at a level 5.
Right.
And it's because we can't outperform the belief we have in ourselves. Like whether it's in relationships, we dated our self-esteem level.
Mm-hmm.
So even if you do date you hear people say, "Oh, you're too good for me," and then they go cheat because they know this person. They don't feel like they're on that person's level. So they
Right.
self-sabotage, they'll
Mm-hmm.
figure out a way to get what they feel they deserve. So my whole message is like understanding your confidence and getting what you deserve. I'm working on my second book. It's a loose title. It's I don't know if I'm gonna keep it, but it's You're the Shit and Here's Why. So
Mm-hmm. Nice.
I break down the different types of confidence, the different levels of confidence intrinsically, especially now in the social media world where everyone's comparing constantly
Yeah.
again and again and again.
Mm-hmm.
Like, stop that. Comparison is the thief of joy. Stop all that nonsense. Like, own yourself, own your shit,
Mm-hmm.
own your story. So that's one of my biggest things is
Mm-hmm.
teaching people how to have confidence on that and understanding your story, not necessarily just rewriting your story, but understanding your story. And like I said earlier, our stories, our experiences don't form us, they inform us. So that's the message I'm pushing. That's the little area of this space I want to occupy.
Yeah.
And when I, talking about that confidence, not on a superficial level, I'm talking about really getting into it and understanding where that comes from. So I got my tour
Mm-hmm.
coming up. It's gonna be August and September. I'm gonna be all over the U.S. I think I got about 15 to 20 this second half of the year. So I'm gonna be
Nice.
doing that. By the end of the year, I'm in works with a good friend of mine of putting on an event called New Wave LA. So it's an event for creatives, whether you're an entrepreneur, you're a graphics designer, you're a blogger, you're a content creator, all of that. And he's great. He's a videographer. He's an editor, so he knows all the technical behind the scenes of this space. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm a speaker, so he's going to be showing you the right equipment to use, and how to set everything up. And I'm going to be showing how to be dynamic in front of the camera, on stage,
Mm.
behind, all that. So the
Mm-hmm.
speaking and the technical side of it. So we're working on that. I'm going
Nice.
to have my first online course called Speak Your Brand
Mm-hmm.
coming up.
Nice.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, you got so many creatives and entrepreneurs, people are so ready to kind of make their own way,
Mm-hmm.
and they underestimate the importance of speaking, whether it's on a major stage, a small stage, through a Zoom conference call. They
Mm-hmm.
underestimate that. So I want to show people, I don't care how introverted you are, how to craft your story, and this kind of framework I developed over the last 10 years that I always use no matter what topic I choose to speak on,
Mm-hmm.
or the audience. This kind of framework I adapted, that if you do this, you can be the best version of you. You're not gonna learn how to speak like me. I got a very unique style, but what's your style?
Right.
So I'm working on that. And then on the acting tip, got a new show called Stuck with You.
Yay.
Yeah, I play this character Vaughn. It's on a new
Cool.
online streaming platform called Urban Flix. Not sure
Mm-hmm.
when it comes out. I just started it.
Cool.
Play Two Rooms by Lee
Mm-hmm.
Blessings. I got rehearsals right after this.
Yep.
That's coming. That's going to be in LA the last 2 weekends of August. And yeah, we're just working and creating and
Nice.
writing. So between all of that, we just create and put out some positive stuff, and
Yeah.
live the best life.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, you're doing it. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I'm curious about is what that experience is like when you're working with kids, and teaching them like you are the shit. Actually,
Mm-hmm.
I told you this. So when I first started following you on social media after I met you, and I saw that was kind of like one of your
Yeah,
taglines,
yeah,
I
yeah,
was
yeah.
like, that's cool. And then I ended up going to this music festival with one of my friends who was facilitating workshops there. And I mentioned it to her, and she was like, we should do that. Like, we should have people just like say why they're the shit, as
Mm-hmm.
part of this. It was all on what we were talking about earlier about like building new neural pathways and
Right.
rewriting our stories. And so that is a way of doing that, is like bragging about yourself, really, like giving people
Mm-hmm.
permission to do that, which there are not many spaces in our society where that is accepted. And it's
Yeah.
actually like
It's
people are,
sad. It's sad.
yeah,
You can get on stage and say everything you dislike about yourself, but people got to
right.
find you say everything you love about yourself. It's ridiculous.
That is messed up.
Yep, it is.
Because
It
then it
is.
makes it even harder for you to start believing it yourself if you don't have a
Mm-hmm.
safe place to actually talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something actually that I've noticed recently, in my own personal development, is like I was getting to these like ceilings of what I felt was like appropriate of like sharing with the world, or like bragging, for like I was saying,
Mm-hmm.
like I was like, shit, should I be telling people all of this like amazing stuff that's happening for me? You know, like I felt almost like this like guilt or
Yep.
like, it's playing small.
We've been swindled. It's better. You're easier to control. You're easier to manipulate when you feel like you're less than you are. So for me, I do it primarily with colleges. I like I said, I started out elementary schools, anyone who would let me speak years ago. Now I need college and above. And I'm always going to stick with college a little bit because I like that kind of crossroads people are at that age. But I definitely want to do adults because I did my first major conference last year. It's called the Together Conference up in Portland. And I was like, man, I haven't done this with adults. I wonder how this is going to play. They loved it. I still get DMs today of people, hey, I just started my graphic design business. I'm the shit. Da-da-da. And it's just like, I keep forgetting, like, we're so connected in so many ways. I keep forgetting that the confidence I struggle with from time to time that originated from a jacked up childhood, everybody else has some version of that themselves to make them feel less than. So as adults, we need to hear it just as much.
For sure.
And it's all about context. I'm not saying I'm better than you, but just the feeling you get, for instance. This is true. So today I got a DM by a good friend of mine I went to high school with. We reconnected years later, and she just always hits me up for advice and stuff. And she just sent me pictures of her being engaged. And I was elated. I was like, yo. And she was saying, I remember a few years ago when I was going through the breakup and, we had that quick little conversation, you said this, this, and this. And I just remember like, wow, you just kind of gave that and it was just cool. And so she shared that. So I felt really honored, like, wow, you're sharing this with me. Because we're not close friends like that by any means. We're more like associates, but she follows and stuff. And I remember when I posted my engagement pictures and she was super elated. And I was like, that's beautiful in that space. But then I saw other people who kind of threw a little shade and was like, oh, I looked at the space those people were. It's hard for unhappy people to be happy for happy people. It's hard. It takes a level of personal development to, even when you're going through your own shit and you're feeling down, to genuinely be happy for someone else.
Yeah.
So when it comes to that, there's so many people going around who are playing small, which I've been criminally guilty of, playing small. Because when I played big, I got called cocky and arrogant and I got beat down. So now I play small and now I'm like, I'm not doing that no more. I'm not going to. If you can't handle it, you can't handle it. Because I'm not playing anything. I'm not playing big. I'm going to walk into that space and take up as much space as my existence will allow. And it's a lot. But guess what? There's a hell of a lot of space for you as well. You can occupy that same space. So that idea of you're the shit, once again, it's not because of what you accomplish. Yes, you know this business. Like right now, I'm on a roll. There's a roll. God, knock on wood, I cannot get nothing for years. My first TV role happened in the end of 2016. I didn't get another one until Games People Play, which was almost 2 years later. I can't have my confidence being attached to that, especially in this kind of business that we do.
Right.
It has to be attached to something greater. And what it is I have experienced so much pain. I've been beat down so many times, but I've kept giving up. That's what keeps giving me confidence. That's what makes me the shit, because I'm still here. I haven't given up. So when people focus on that, it changes everything. But so many people, this damn thing forces us to compare constantly, which I get guilty of sometimes, and I'll unfollow certain people. If I figure out, if I start to feel I can't be happy for you the way I should, then I'm a hater. I don't want to be a hater. So I'm going to step back. I'm going to look inside. I'm going to chill for a second because you killed it and it's making me feel some kind of way. Just being real. Yeah. Take a step back because I want to be genuinely happy for my peers. I don't want to throw no jealousy or no shade. So people have a hard time with that. So that's why I love doing You're the Shit. That's why I love it. And it's received so well every time. I did a teacher training and they're still talking about it.
Nice.
Teacher training on diversity in the Deep South. They were forced to be there. It was early in the morning. Wow. I was just like, Lord, just help me get through it. Let me tell you, I'm already got an invite to come back next year. We did that activity and then get adults and it was an older administration. So you got 40, 50, 60-year-old adults and stuff on stage. It is amazing.
Wow.
I love it. And we all need that, because you're absolutely right. There's not a lot of spaces, especially publicly, where we're allowed to say those things, which is jacked up and half-ass backwards, because you can get on stage and say everything you don't like, but when you get on stage and say what you do like, it intimidates people, because so many people are insecure, so many people play small, so they feel threatened when you're like that. And I've had to acknowledge that. It's like, because I thought it was something wrong with me for many years. I was like, maybe I am arrogant, maybe I am cocky, maybe I do. I was like, no, because I'm the first one to help, I'm the first one to encourage, I'm the first one. It's never about me being better than you. It's just me being the best version of myself. And even though my best version of myself may be better than the best of someone else, I'm never looking to the left or the right. I'm always looking in the mirror and like, I need to be better than that guy.
Yeah.
And people don't understand that. So they're going to project their insecurities onto us so that they can bring us down to the level. Because it's now I don't feel threatened anymore. If you play small, I feel better about me, instead of looking at you and like, dang, Ash, you shining. You shining. You know what? Let me raise up my vibration. Let me get my shit up so that I can match with yours.
Right.
And that's one of the things I'm trying to change.
Yeah. And comes back to like the people that you surround yourself with, and the community. And that can be really challenging at first. If this is like, you're going on this personal development path, like by yourself, if you're not in like a program, or you don't have a coach or a mentor, which are so important.
It's underrated.
Yeah. And so I think that was one of the most influential things for me, was joining a women's circle when I was first in this, getting to know myself phase, and we all were supporting each other in that. So I definitely would recommend for anyone that's listening to this, like, to find that community, where it's okay to shine your light, and it's welcome.
And it's so important. I'll try to wrap it up on this note. Based what you said, that community, that's where I'm at right now. I'm at a point in my life where I feel like I've taken myself as high and as far as I can go on my own. Now I'm at the point I need to get, even if it's not a tribe, just a community of trustworthy friends, people, confidants, that whether it's a group, I'm looking for that, building that community. It's important. And, in this business, especially like on the acting side, especially as an actor, it's different if you're behind the scenes, it's a bit different, but like actors, we're inherently insecure and need validation. We hear no so many times that if you're not 100% clicky with the tribe mentality and on board with what everybody's saying, you get called a hater. People don't like you. And I've been called that. I've accepted it. I've accepted the fact that I'm gonna have to have a very select group of people, because I'm going to challenge us. I don't want to, especially being a Black actor, it's so easy to say it's because I'm Black, or if you're a woman, oh, I'm gay. It's so easy to kind of point to those, but it's hard for every damn body in this business. So I don't like playing a victim route. And if I challenge people on that, they feel some kind of way. So like, I'm actively searching for a group. I found a few dependable people, because it's LA, people are flaky as hell here. Let's keep it real. It's such a flaky environment, because so many people don't know who they are. So many people are like lost and struggling and, searching. It's Hollywood, it's dreams, and people come here and not so young, they don't know who they are. And then you get molded by the environment, which is superficial. It's Hollywood. Let's be real. It's the movies and everything. Bless you. It's the movies and everything. So that idea of finding a group to connect with, it can't be understated, because I realized I've had to acknowledge that, like, hold up, okay, I'm a strong person. I love spending time alone. But like, just this exchange between you and I is everything. It set me up for a great day. I've gotten new ideas that have just been sparked that I'm literally going to write down before I go to rehearsal, because I'm like, oh, and I could have never came up with those ideas by myself. We had to exchange. We had to engage in this moment right here. And imagine if you can consistently have moments like this throughout your day, throughout your life, throughout your week, how much of a better person that's going to make you. So you're absolutely right. Finding that community, that tribe, that inner circle, that mastermind, whatever you want to call it, it's the next level.
Right.
That's what I believe. You can only go so far by yourself.
Beautiful.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I'm honored to have had this conversation with you today.
Likewise.
And yeah, thanks again so much for sharing your story and your wisdom, and blessings on all these amazing things that are happening. And may they continue for
Oh
many,
yeah.
many years.
Hey, absolutely. And I'm sure we'll link up at some vibrational breathing event.
Yeah, I'm going to come to your play. I'm planning on it.
Yeah, yeah. You need to be there. We work.
Yeah.
I got a ways to go. We got a long rehearsal today, so we're gonna get to it. But thank you for
Nice.
having me. I appreciate it. I hope everyone who's listening, I hope they took something away and became, a better version of themselves.
For sure. And I'll put all your contact info and the links for the show notes as well.
Beautiful, beautiful. All right,
Cool.
Ash.
All right.
You have a wonderful day.
You too. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you so much for joining us on today's episode. And you can follow Monti on all of the social media at Motivation. It's MONTIVATION. And I'll leave everything in the show notes as well. And also you can find me at Vibrational Medicine with Ash on Facebook. We have a Facebook group there where we can continue these conversations. If you have any questions about specific things that you've learned in the podcast, that's a good way to reach me. Or you can always email me at ash@ashnewmeister.com. And if you're in LA, I do group breathwork and sound healing sessions around the city. So you can find that information on my website as well. Please stay connected and share with me what you're learning from these podcasts, or if you have a specific topic that you would like me to interview someone around, please let me know. I am open to your feedback. Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your day.